I took that seriously. And when I was assaulted by a returned missionary, I didn't want to tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody because I thought that it was partly my fault. But that's okay, right? Because the church passed out miniature candy bars on Mother's Day and I got one.
These promises strong as a spell, I'll never tell.
Hi guys, welcome back to exmolex. So a month or two ago, I made this video. It's a short form video that I posted on TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts. It's a short video. It's mostly just quotes from Mormon prophets and apostles saying derogatory things about women. Actually, I'm just gonna show it here on the screen while I talk for a minute so you can see what the quotes are. And it has this sort of like feminist anthem going on in the background. It's a very, very popular song on TikTok and I thought it went perfectly along with these quotes. I will leave a link to the YouTube short in the description if you actually wanna see the video and hear the music with it. When I made that video, I had no idea what I was in for in the comments. This particular video on YouTube Shorts got over 20,000 views, and you would not believe the comments that I got from Mormons. And even though I know that the people who watched and commented on that video more than likely, if not like 100% likely, will not see this video, I did want to read some of those comments to you guys and respond to them because honestly, it's just wild. I've done long form videos about what the church has taught and said about women over the years, and you know, provided examples, provided sources, all of those things, basically talking about how the church really has treated women as second-class citizens for decades. But my longer form content typically doesn't end up getting as many views as my short form content, and so obviously not as many Mormons are seeing it, it's not coming up as often, and I don't get comments like these as much. But this video, like I said, got quite a few views, and the comments are wild. Let me just read you some of these. There are tens of thousands of quotes from church leaders about the divine exalted role that women play in God's plan and in his church. Too bad someone went and found 5 quotes that were either taken out of context or were poorly stated. It's like pointing out a few bad pieces of fruit in an entire orchard, then suggesting we burn the whole thing down. I raise you that instead of an orchard, it is a bowl of ice cream with 10,000 drops of delicious ice cream in it and only 5 pieces of poop. How do you feel about that bowl of ice cream now? If you're not Mormon, what facts do you really have? I am a Mormon, and all of these talks saying stuff about how we don't care for women as we do men is insane. So you agree, it's insane, right? I may not currently be a Mormon, but I will always be Mormon adjacent. I was a member for 25 years, I was raised in it, my whole family is Mormon. I know a thing or two. These talks, saying stuff about how we don't care for women as we do men, they are insane. You're right. These are the modern ways of Satan luring people away from the church. I feel like most people forget that in most of those times, everyone else treated women like that, and it is not wrong for them to think that women should dress respectfully. I know I can't fight everyone that thinks I'm wrong, but sometimes people portray it in such a bad way that makes us seem so bad. Consider this. The quotes are just bad. I'm not portraying it in a way that makes it bad. They just are bad. The truth is, not everyone treated women as poorly as the church did. The times you're speaking of are not that long ago. 30 to 40 years is not that long ago. And even if everybody else treated women like crap, does that make it okay for God's chosen prophet to also treat women like crap? Or maybe should the church have been an example of how not to do that? These aren't even real. The sources are in the description. They're very much real. Some of them are still on the church's website to this day. I am a Mormon. Before you say, why are you a cultist? Among other insults I have heard too many times, I don't support most of the things shown in this video, just so you know. I support the beliefs that Joseph Smith correctly translated the Book of Mormon. Some things he did were not the best, but as long as he was true in the way he translated the Book of Mormon, which he may have edited slightly, but I believe in the hopefully non-edited parts of that book. I think this person might be on their way out. I'm just gonna say that from the way this was all worded. Keep going on that same line of thinking. You'll get there. People who post these things are losers and have no idea the power that women actually do have within the church. Well, guess who was the first person to post these things? It was the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I just reposted them so more people could see. You're welcome. Based. These quotes are so true. Thanks for sharing. Yes, occasionally you will get that one really radical person that agrees. None of their other church members seem to agree with them, but These ones still exist. Okay, so me and my best friend are LDS, and we have never even heard of these people, except Brigham, but he wasn't even a prophet. And to think that anyone would have actually said things like this is just sick and ridiculous. They're all lies. You and your best friend are LDS, and you don't think that Brigham Young was a prophet? Baby cakes, girly pops, besties. I understand that this person is probably a minor, so I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt, but every single person in that video was a prophet or an apostle of the LDS Church. As a Mormon, I will say all LDS members and leaders love all people for themselves and not for their gender. We love all the same way, whether you're a boy, a girl, or non-binary. And the reason I put Mormon in quotation marks is because we are not called Mormons anymore. We are LDS, standing for the Church of Jesus Christ. Oh no, standing for Church of Latter-day Saints. It's so funny to me how you will present a major problem with the LDS Church, like the leaders of the church are extremely misogynistic and have said terrible things. And a Mormon will literally be like, we're not called Mormons. And that will be their biggest problem with the video. They definitely do not treat all genders the same. I would say that they don't acknowledge that non-binary people even exist. There is no place for them in the LDS Church. If you were to show up at an LDS church and say that you were non-binary, they wouldn't even know what to do with you. They have priesthood meetings for the men and they have the Relief Society meetings for the women. If you showed up and said you were non-binary, they'd be like, okay, but what's in your pants? Because we need to know which class to send you to. As a Mormon, these quotes make me sick, but our current apostles and prophets would never say things like this, and we don't believe in these kinds of things anymore. Okay, Richard G. Scott was in that video. He was an apostle during my youth in the church and said what he said during my early youth in the church. That was not that long ago. I'm not even 30 years old. And again, why were these things ever taught at all? This wasn't okay 10 years ago. It wasn't okay 20 years ago. It wasn't okay 100 years ago. Times were different. Okay, why wasn't the church different? Why wasn't the church better? Why has the church had to try to keep up with the times instead of the times trying to keep up with the church? Why did God allow his prophets to say these things? The gospel is what's perfect. The people are not. You also have to remember the time these things were said. I cannot tell you how much I don't care what the time period was if throughout the entire course of history the church has claimed that it speaks for God. After hours of research, these are said by really old British people back in 1978. Don't believe everything you see, guys. This person's research is really shitty. Who cares what you think? Women should fall in line and do what they're told. Another radical one. Y'all, these quotes are from hundreds of years ago. Let's stop right there for just a second. The church isn't even 200 years old yet. How would these things have been said hundreds of years ago? The men from other religions have said some of these same things. Two wrongs don't make a right, baby cakes. We don't follow their teachings anymore, so maybe stop criticizing if you don't know the whole story. You don't follow those teachings anymore. Some of them are still on the church's website to this day. If they're really that outside of the wheelhouse, why hasn't the church removed that stuff and apologized for ever saying it? Women in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are treated wonderfully. I would know because I am one. Every Mother's Day, they pass out thank you cards and treats to all the mothers and girls over 18. We are very much respected just as much as the men. Let me tell you a story about my time in the LDS Church. When I was a teenager, I was taught a lesson in young women's class during church that if I was sexually active before I was married, I was like chewed gum and I was no longer valuable or attractive to men. And the teaching about how if you are assaulted, you need to take part of the blame to yourself, I took that seriously. And when I was assaulted by a returned missionary, I didn't want to tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody because I thought that it was partly my fault. But that's okay, right? Because the church passed out miniature candy bars on Mother's Day and I got one. Many words are spoken in church that women and men are equal and they are both treated equally. Please stop passing around these false truths. These false truths that your church said, I didn't say it. It wasn't me that typed out those quotes and made the video. I took those quotes directly from your church. So if those are false teachings, who is teaching false things? And why are you still a member of the church? Believe what you want to believe, but don't hate until you know the full story. I can fully accept that everybody can have a different experience in the church. So I accept that when you were in the church, you thought that women being treated equally was them getting a treat on Mother's Day. But what about my experience? My experience in the church, from everything that I showed in that video, the research I've done, and my actual personal experience I had in the church shows me that women are not valued as highly as men. They are seen differently. They are not seen as equals. My goodness, how could you spread this? This is all false. I don't know. Ask your church. Why would they spread such terrible false things? We care about the women very much, and we are so thankful for them. We treat them with respect. You can't say that we don't respect women. This is very offensive to us. Oh my God. Your own leaders' words are offensive to you? That's not my problem. Maybe you should take a harder look at the church you say you believe in, because again, I didn't say those things. I didn't do it. I didn't put it on the internet first. It's been there. Your church leader said those things over the pulpit. They taught them as scripture. Very offensive to you. It's offensive to me too. The things they said are false. The fact that they said them is 100% true. As a Mormon, who are these people? Am I just really bad at my religion? I don't listen to what most leaders have said in the past. I probably should. But instead, take what my religion says about life now and apply it to my own. The men that I know in my church aren't like this. This is messed up. Honestly, I don't know what else to say. You all probably think I'm brainwashed or something, but I'm a human just like you, and I'm not changing what I believe in, my religion, because of some YouTube short and what some people said in the past. Who are these people? They are apostles and prophets, chosen and called by God to be the leaders of your church. And they said these things. And you probably should. You probably should pay attention to what they said in the past, because it is important. As a Mormon, these were a long time ago, and the fact that you only show the bad parts of the church is crazy. This is all fake. As a Latter-day Saint, the LDS Church respects women and men equally. Stop trying to stir up drama. Again, I didn't say these things. I just reposted them. Okay, that's enough. That is just giving you an idea of what the comment section on that video looks like. And it blows my mind. Like, it shouldn't, but the cognitive dissonance is so intense. If I were to have made that same video, but said that they were, you know, Jehovah's Witness leaders or something like that, and a Mormon watched it, they would be on there ragging so hard on the Jehovah's Witnesses or whatever religion that I claimed it was. If I put it on there and said that these things were said by somebody other than Mormons, they would be like, this is terrible, that church is false, this is completely untrue, I can't believe that they said these things, blah, blah, blah. But as soon as they find out that it's their religion, they have 10 million excuses. The church has taught and continues to teach, still up on its website, current teachings, that apostles and prophets are called by God, that prophets are God's mouthpiece upon the earth, that what a living prophet says is more important than the scriptures. Mormons are taught from the time that they are children, follow the prophet, follow the prophet, follow the prophet, don't go astray, follow the prophet, he knows the way. So when a prophet gets up and speaks to the entire church over a pulpit and says, women should be subservient to men. Women should not show their bony shoulder blades and ugly knees. Women should bear dozens of children for their husbands. Women should take part of the blame for assault on themselves. And here's my question for all the people who say that times were different. Why did God, the all-knowing, omnipotent God, choose somebody to be a prophet that would get up to the pulpit and say these things as scripture to the members of his church? I don't care if it was 100 years ago. Was it okay then? Because you seem to act like, well, that's just how times were. So you're acknowledging that it wasn't okay. So why did God's prophet, God's mouthpiece upon the earth, declare that as though everybody should listen? It's not like it's something that he, whispered in a locker room. It's something he said over the pulpit. Why did God allow that? Is God okay with these men and his entire church being taught to be misogynistic? Is God okay with that? Is that why he let it happen? Or is God not okay with that, but he decided to let the prophet say really terrible misogynistic things anyway? If that's the case, why? Why would he let his one true chosen prophet mislead millions of people? If the church is the true church and the prophet is the true prophet called by the true God, then why is the church always in last place? Why is the church trying to play catch up with the rest of the world in how we should treat women? Why isn't the church being the example of how to treat women for the rest of the world? Anyways, that's my rant for today. That's all I've got for you. Every single time somebody comments on that video and I see it, I'm shaking my head because it is honestly beyond me. It is bizarre that people can have so much cognitive dissonance that they act like I don't know what I'm talking about just because I posted quotes that their leaders said. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Would love to see you guys comment on that video and maybe flood it with some of your own experiences as well, because right now there are so many Mormon comments that are so just wrong. Anyways, thank you for being here today. If you want to support the work that I do, you could join this lovely list of patrons. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. I appreciate you so very much. Extra special thank you to Amy, Craig Call, Doug Davis, and Tans for supporting at the Demon tier on my Patreon. You guys make this all possible. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to help the channel grow, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!
Promises strong as a spell. I'll never tell.
Yeah, I like you, that's for sure. Never have to close the door.